And welcome back on your Thursday morning, just before 4:45 here. We are tracking Fiona. Fiona is a system that formed last night out in the Atlantic. Let me just start by saying this is no imminent threat to the Gulf of Mexico region or really anywhere here in the continental United States for the next about 5 days or so, but it is worth watching. So let's get into it here. I know a lot of people are interested on where this thing's going and where it might go beyond the cone here. As of this morning, notice it's still lopsided, so it's still fighting dry air, it's still fighting shear. That's why all those showers and storms you see there with the satellite are displaced from the center. And as long as it has this look, it's not going to rapidly intensify, it doesn't look like. National Hurricane Center showing just some modest strengthening as it makes its way towards the Caribbean islands. If you got vacation plans down here, Virgin Islands here, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, if you're heading down there this weekend, you will want to watch this because it is going to bring some disturbed weather. But hopefully the wind shear, the dry air in the vicinity keep this thing from growing too much. Now, as we get into early next week, notice we start to see the current turn, but this is where there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty thanks to a couple of things. Now, in the near term, over the next 3 or 4 days, the path of this thing is pretty certain. It's riding around a ridge of high pressure that's sitting in the Atlantic. And notice all of our models are tightly clustered. Now, where it gets tricky is early next week and when that turn happens. And that turn is going to likely happen because this ridge of high pressure over the central U.S. will be weak enough. This trough will dig down, weaken this ridge as well, and that will create a weakness in the ridge for this thing to turn. It's just where does that turn happen? Now, the big and the trickiest part of this forecast might be, well, how organized is the system? Right now, a more north turn around the high pressure seems like a more likely scenario with a bit more organized of a system. Now, if the system itself is a bit weaker and has more land interaction, we might see it nudge a little bit further towards the west, maybe closer to Cuba. That one seems less likely at this point, but it is still in the realm of possibility. So that's why we're still going to watch it, but our concern level right now is fairly low. So biggest unknown over the next 5 days is the strength of it. How much land interaction? That's a big part. How much does this thing interact with the land? And then the steering patterns next week are going to determine, of course, when it turns. So all three of these play together to create the big unknowns at this point. So we'll watch it, but it's no imminent threat to the Gulf of Mexico, and hopefully it never reaches the Gulf. It makes that turn out into the Atlantic.